Welcome to Tech Tuesday. My name is Abby Ritchie. You can find me here every week talking with people who are engaged in age tech in the senior living space. Now, I am the founder and CEO of Senior Savvy, and I love helping your residents live a better life and helping your staff figure out how to use technology so that everyone can serve the people they love better. Before we get started and before I introduce my guest, let's go ahead and run our intro. Welcome back. I am so excited for this episode today. And the reason being is that over the past year, there have been so many instances and so many stories and updates about the use of robotics in senior living. And while no robot will ever take the place of a human and their interaction and their connection, there are many applications these days for the use of robots in senior living. So that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. There's a robot for that. And I'm going to go ahead and bring my guests on and have them introduce themselves and what their connection is to robotics in senior living. Let's go ahead and first invite on Lee St. James to the show. Welcome, Lee.
Thank you very much, Abby.
Yeah.
It's great to meet you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I want to bring on, one second, Lee. I want to bring on my next guest. I've got Christopher Leach from LEQ. Hello, Christopher.
Hi, Abby. Happy to be here.
Yeah, psyched you're here too. And then I also have Alfred Poor, who is a health tech insider. Welcome, Alfred. I'm so glad that you're here.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to join in.
Great. So for the two that have robots, tell me about, great. And look, who else is with us today? We've got Thad Parton. Hi, Thad. I'm so glad that you made it. How you doing?
Hey, Abby, glad to be here.
Yeah, good. Take a deep breath. You made it. I want you to know that every Tech Tuesday has tech issues, just so you know, okay? Every Tech Tuesday has tech issues. It's just part of the show. And at this point, I'm ready to start singing at any minute. If you all happen to go away, I can start singing. Look, I'm ready. So, I've learned that over the past year. So just take a deep breath. I'll call on you last, okay? And
Great.
So glad that you're here. So let's start with you, Lee. Go ahead, introduce yourself, introduce your robot to us, please.
Thank you. Yeah, so I am the president and founder of Social Robots, and we are a tech startup that was founded in 2019. And our first robot is called Mindy. And
hi, Abby. Thanks for having me on Tech Tuesday.
So she just hit her arm on me. She's giving you a little hug. So my background is that I was working in a design studio working on robot apps for banking and automotive. And at the time of, I guess, 2018, my father was diagnosed with a form of dementia called Lewy body. And I kept thinking robots should be able to help older adults. Like most people don't put older adults and robots together, but I do, just given my background. And I've done lots of research and lots of development in the last 4 years, including a pilot study that we can talk about a little bit later. But yeah, I think that there's some huge opportunities here to help reduce the social isolation, boredom, the 14 hours a day when residents just don't have enough engagement and there simply aren't enough human beings around them to provide that level of engagement.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Christopher, welcome to Tech Tuesday. Tell us about LEQ, please.
Sure. So Christopher Leach, I'm the Director of Product Marketing for LEQ. You'll notice every time I say LEQ, she lights up. For the purposes of saving time today, I'm just going to say Ellie. And so Ellie is the first proactive digital companion robot designed specifically for older adults. She's got lots and lots of features. The four main categories are companionship and entertainment, helping to keep them connected to family, health and wellness support, and then also assistance with daily activities. So happy to kind of dive into more details as we continue in the conversation. My background is I've been working with seniors and actually have a big background in senior living. I started out as a caregiver, worked as a memory care director for Emeritus, and then spent 7 years in innovation with Brookdale, looking at a lot of different startups in this space. And so I kind of fell in love with Ellie when I first met her and learned about what kind of set her apart, especially the proactive features that she has. So the big differentiator is, rather than wait for a senior to ask something specific for her to do something, she will make suggestions throughout the day for the things she can do with a resident, which I think is a real exciting game changer to help keep them engaged, keep them using it over time.
I love it. I love it. And Thad Parton, welcome to Tech Tuesday. Tell us about where you're from and your robot, please.
Yeah, absolutely. I am the director of restaurant operations for the Mather organization based out of Evanston, Illinois. We operate, we're a nonprofit and operate 3 communities, 2 on the North Shore of Chicago, 1 in Tucson, Arizona, and we have a new community under construction in Tysons, Virginia. We've been testing robots for a little over a year now and currently have a service style robot running in one of our restaurants in Tucson. And residents love it, our staff loves it, and we see these being a part of our communities moving forward in a couple of different capabilities.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear more about that. And Alfred, come on to the show and tell us how you're engaged in robotics.
Well, I mean, one of the things that sets me apart from the other 3 here is that as a technology journalist, I don't actually have to make anything. So I have the luxury of being able to see what everybody else is doing and gather the many different threads together and provide a broader perspective on how all these different pieces fit together. But I have Health Tech Insider as a website and a newsletter. We cover wearable and mobile devices for health and medical applications, but we define that very broadly. And so aging in place technology, elder care, age tech, all those kinds of things are something that we spend a lot of time covering.
Great, great. So I'm going to call on you throughout the segment today to kind of give me your feedback and give me some of your expert insight, okay, based on the robots that we're going to talk about today. So for my guests, for Lee, for Christopher, for Thad, let's talk about your robot. Where is it thriving right now? Christopher, you want to go first?
Sure. So I would say the big focus for Ellie is for older adults that live alone or spend a lot of time alone. One of our biggest partnerships to date was through NYSOPA, the New York State Department for the Aging. We were able to send out 900 Ellies into people's homes. We also did a beta test with United Church Homes in senior living, and that was our largest test to date in senior living. And we really are seeing really, really great engagement rates. Again, it's that proactive nature of her where she kind of is letting seniors know what they can do with her and helping them to learn how to use her. In a way, she kind of teaches them how to use her. And so I think it's a big game changer. I've done a lot of pilots and a lot of work in terms of looking at technology for older adults. And this is kind of the first one that I've seen where it sort of layers in and it's sort of seductive, getting the senior excited to use her. So definitely thriving for folks that are on their own. We saw really, really great results with the United Church Homes pilot. We ended up having 56 residents agree to sign up for that beta test. And at the end of it, 50 of them are still using it, which is really, really awesome.
That is great. That's great. Now, I'm curious about how much is an LEQ?
So commercially available online for consumers, it's $40 a month, month to month. There is a $250 startup fee. If folks sign up for a year, then we discount that monthly fee to $30 a month. I would say for senior living partners, I would love to have a conversation, introduce folks to our business development team, because there's some other features that we would layer on top of what the existing consumer application is. We've got a dashboard that we use that enables you to sort of fleet manage a bunch of LEs that you might have in your community and be able to sort of optimize communication, promote programs. and also really help to improve communication both for emergencies, things like that. So it's a conversation to be had depending on what the partner has in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And Thad, tell us, I know you said that your robot's name Jeeves? Is that right? Jeeves? Go ahead and unmute yourself, please. There you go. Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, is it Jeeves? Did they name?
Jeeves is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Residents had a naming competition at our community Splendido in Tucson, and he is Jeeves.
And so paint the picture for us a bit. So in the dining room, how specifically is Jeeves being used?
Yeah, for sure. So Jeeves is stationed in the kitchen, right next to our expo station. Stands right next to the chef. Chef takes a look at the food, assembles the table, places it onto the robot, and then sends him out to the dining room to any of a number of preset stations. And those stations are near where the servers can pick up the food and be kind of that last mile or that last few feet to the resident's table.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, he can be sent to another station to pick up dirty plates and then sent back to the kitchen for those to be offloaded and then sent back to the expo station. So it's point A to point B to point C, and then back again. And he can do that throughout service for 8 hours a day before he has to be charged again.
So I haven't actually seen residents interact with Jeeves. What is it like when Jeeves is in the dining room and doing these different tasks?
Yeah, it's actually a lot of fun. A lot of residents will whip out their cell phones and try to take a photo with Jeeves, selfie, or they're taking a video to share with their kids or grandkids. They think he's super cool. One of our biggest surprise learnings through the testing process was how appreciative residents were of us trying to better support the limited staff we have right now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we've seen Jeeves be able to do, is become a force multiplier for us. That person that would have been assigned to that running or busing role is now able to be deployed into the dining room, which allows us to accommodate more residents during our meal services.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I'm definitely going to come down and take a look at Jeeves soon. And
Anytime.
Lee, let's talk about Mindy. So in what environments does Mindy thrive in?
So Mindy can be used for either one-to-one or group interactions, and she can be used in both active living and memory care spaces. So the focus of our customization in our apps is to really make sure that the recreation staff or volunteers or even family members or the seniors themselves can be the robot handler. So the robot does have, got a tablet on its chest.
I'm ready to work.
And there's a separate tablet that the robot handler can use to help it use custom dialogue, movements, and you can also, the robot is on motorized, so it can be moved backwards, forwards, around, and move its arms and facial expressions as well. So really the focus we have 4 key activities. So music and movement. So not just like listening to a speaker or a smart speaker or an audio file, but actually getting, when Mindy moves her arms, the residents tend to sort of imitate and sort of get some of that physical exercise, which is great, and also do sing-alongs. Yeah. And then also, music therapy is just so important in memory care, especially. So that's like the biggest sort of use case. But also brain games. So whether it's, one-on-one or multiplayer games, trivia games and things like that, Mindy can really help the staff or a family member engage in a different way. And so those are the sort of 2 key ones. And then special events. So I don't know if Jada wants to throw up the pictures that we have. This is Mindy singing happy birthday in the dining room to a resident. We actually put her on a little trolley to move her around faster. So you can see there's a little silver trolley at the back, but engaging both staff and residents. This one is amazing. So this is a picture of Marion playing a math game, and she was so proud of herself. Like, we did a 4-month pilot study in 2021 at this Chartwell facility in Burlington, Ontario. And the first couple of times when the recreation leader dropped Mindy off at Marion's room, she would have to show her exactly how to use that. But as the weeks wore on, she became very self-sufficient, and she was so proud of herself, to be able to say, I've got to tell my son I know how to use this robot, right? Mm-hmm. So literally within like 10 minutes, if you know how to use a smartphone or a tablet, you can learn how to use the robot. And then, that particular game might have some unique features to it, but, she was really proud of herself. And then I have a picture also of my mom playing bingo. So, when I was testing it out, I was just doing one card, but my mom wanted to do 2 cards at the same time. So, these apps are available, and, some of them are just sort of simple download because it is an Android tablet. You can just download them from the Play Store. But the robot does have some I guess, security measures so that we can remotely manage the content, and that, things that, you don't want on there, can be removed, and you can share photos and things like that. So
Alfred,
the fourth thing is the photo and video sharing.
Alfred, I want to ask you, so, when you see it, what's really the social impact of the resident or the senior, the difference between playing a game, playing bingo on a tablet, or playing bingo with a robot? What's the impact there?
Well, it's all about engagement, and I, the common thread through all of this is that it's allowing us, whether it's aging in place or whether it's in a care facility, to do more with the limited resources that we have available. And I think that the really interesting thing about the 3 different descriptions of the activities that these robots do is that they address different kinds of needs. And I think that's really important, because there's no one need to be solved in an aging facility. There's engagement. One of the things I love about the interaction is that it gets the seniors to interact and participate. As many of us know, loneliness, disengagement is actually a social determinant of health. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many of you know this, but in the UK, they actually have a minister of loneliness, which is a measure of how important they see that. So these things that will socially engage them. Another thing that I think is really important is the patience, especially with memory, because a lot of times some people get tired of answering the same question over and over again. But the nice thing about a robot or something like that, going to be totally patient. It's never going to get frustrated, and it's going to continue to engage with the patient. So there's a lot of really wonderful things that this technology can offer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, one thing I want to know, and, where is it headed? I'd love to know from you, Christopher, where does LEQ need refinement, and where do you see it moving into?
So what I would say, especially in the context of senior living, and having been on both sides of this, having been a provider, I know there's a lot of different systems out there, and they're not all necessarily talking to each other. They're not necessarily integrated, ranging from, EHRs to, the TELS, work order services, all of those different things that kind of make up a community. And I think, Ellie can be certainly integrated with any type of system. But we need to find a partner and understand what are the systems that are a priority for them, so that we can kind of build and work with them to optimize this as much as possible. I think the care center that I mentioned before does a lot of really great things. But one of the things that I was always hesitant about when I was kind of doing pilots before, when I was working in innovation, was adding in new workflows for folks, duplicate entry, all that kind of a thing. So I think the most exciting thing would be to kind of identify a partner, understand what are the main systems that they're leveraging, and bring those together. And I also think over the next couple of years, it seems to me there's going to be more consolidation of a lot of these startups in these spaces and these different systems. And that's going to give a lot of opportunity to really take things to the next level with robots and senior living as well.
Yeah, great comment. And how about for you, Thad? Where is Jeeves headed? Where do you see Jeeves headed? And are you already envisioning other applications for Jeeves like robots at your communities?
Yeah, Abby, that's an excellent question. And I mentioned our new community build in Tysons, Virginia, also called the Mather. And we are already building in capabilities for that building to be ready for robot access throughout the entire project. So adding automatic door openers anywhere that robot will have to traverse, integrating the robot technology or the robot communication software with the elevator system from the beginning, as opposed to a retrofit after the fact. And we see three key uses for robots in the future. So continued use of the service robot in our restaurants, a small package delivery or mail delivery or to-go meal delivery robot that can go up and down each tower in the elevators, and then also some sort of vacuuming, either carpet or hard surface cleaning device. And I sold ourselves short. We do have a robot vacuum at the Mather in Evanston, Illinois, that's been tested and active all of last year. Handles all of our public space vacuuming uses and frees up that housekeeper to spend more time on residential units. So we've had a lot of success with that form factor as well.
That is my favorite robot, by the way. That's my favorite robot. And I've been using it since like October, and I'm crazy about it. Like, that has been for me, an amazing innovation. I know that the iRobot vacuum has been around for a while, but the one I recently got is so good. Like, I am blown away by how good it is and how much it's helped me at home not have to do something I really don't like to do, and no one else wants to do it either. So yeah, I'm thrilled. That's my favorite robot.
For sure.
Yeah.
A couple of other ideas that I have for where the robots could be going in the future are sort of more different form factors. So right now there's kind of all different types of robots out there. The LEQ I love that, the sort of the tabletop version, but I also think the way older adults live, they might want to have something on their lap. So something like, a tablet, but not necessarily on a table or whatever. So I think there are some options coming in terms of that. I'm working with the manufacturer of this robot to help optimize, a model that would be more like a personal robot with that sort of interactive voice engagement that I think this one doesn't really have direct. This is right now as text to speech, but as LEQ described, I probably shouldn't say that too loud. She might turn on behind you, Christopher.
She can't hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So there are some developments there, and then also just a lot more integration, as Christopher was saying. So I think about, we customize songs and activities for Mindy. So we released 4 songs at Christmas. So maybe the dining room robot could, be playing music while they're traveling, right? Or singing happy birthday or whatever. So I think that there are some ways to tie in some of the digital content that we're developing and some of the games and activities. So maybe even asking trivia questions as you go to the, around to the tables to entertain or engage people while they're, waiting for their meal to arrive or whatever. So
yeah, absolutely. Alfred, I wanted to ask you, so, what else are we missing here in this robotic landscape?
Well, I think Christopher really hit the nail on the head when he talked about interoperability. We are collecting so much information, smart scales, robots in the room, smart switches for the lights, all kinds of information is being gathered, and it's not being aggregated, and we're not getting all the use out of it that we can. Fortunately, there's a group called Mather that has tried to do this for home technology. They're now interoperability standard for aging in place, age tech kinds of devices. So I have a great deal of hope. But we should be able to do fall detection. We should be able to do bed exits. We should be able to do bathroom trips, logging those kinds of things without having to add that burden onto the short staff that we already have. We also have other kinds of things. In Japan, they've had robots for years that will help lift patients into and out of bed, which is one of the riskiest parts for the staff in terms of injury. And so I see opportunities for the things that, like you said with your vacuuming, the things that the staff either don't want to do or puts them at risk. And I think that's I think those are the kinds of things that will be the most leveraged in terms of automating through robot.
Right, right. Well, yeah, I know I was just reflecting when I was at CES. I did see several of those type of robotics devices to lift people, to, lifting heavier things like Labrador, for instance, which moves things from place to place for someone in the home. And those are fantastic. Is there anything else here in this robotic realm that you think we should talk about?
I'm not sure if that was a general
Well, I
question.
think
or back to
one of the
Alfred.
traps,
Go ahead, Alfred.
well, I've got a quick comment on that, and that is I think that we shouldn't get tied up in what the form factor is.
Okay.
The function is to get the information and to provide the support, and whether that takes a humanoid shape or it matters more what the result's going to be and not necessarily how it's packaged.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you that. So let's talk about that. Mindy obviously has a humanoid shape. LEQ, not so much. And what about Jeeves? I mean, is Jeeves, what does Jeeves look like, Thad?
Yeah, Jeeves is attractive, but it's a functional attractive. It does not look like a server at all. A heavy base, a small touch screen, 2 vertical arms, and then a couple of trays to carry things.
Okay.
It's very effective at what it does. It's important for these task-based robots, for anyone looking to bring them into their operation, to really understand what they're designed to do. And they're not designed to do anything outside of, that task. So knowing what your expectations are as you bring them in, testing them out, making sure they work within your environment is really important, and not to expect anything extra. In our case, Jeeves does exactly what we need him to do. He does it very well, and it's a huge help for our staff.
Awesome. I do want to say when I was at CES and I saw Labrador in person for the first time, I was really impressed because of the way it looked. Like, I just had not considered how well designed it is. And that was very impressive to me, because when you bring these devices into your home, a lot of them look like medical devices, right? And you're like, you don't want that in your home. And it's not a reflection of your personal taste and style. So the more adoption, the better. And so I was really, really impressed when something fits into the decor and it becomes part of, your home, then it's something that you're going to want to use.
Yeah, on the form factor, I would just say, Intuition Robotics, which is the maker of Ellie, we launched in 2017, and we did a lot of UX research and really kind of iterated around what do we want, we call the SOM, the body of it, to look like. And there's this concept called the uncanny valley, where you don't want something that is trying to pretend to be a human. It tends to kind of freak people out, especially we found with our older adult users, they were kind of put off by that. So that's why there's a little bit more, we say it kind of looks like the Pixar lamp. It's sort of a whimsical shape, and it kind of is emotive, and it moves around and it entices you to engage with it, but nobody mistakes it for a human, because as you said in the opening, Abby, we want to make sure that folks are still interacting with humans. Robots are not meant to replace it, but if it can help for folks that spend a lot of time alone, even in senior living communities, if you ultimately come back to your apartment, having something there to kind of have a little bit of sense of companionship can be really helpful to alleviate that sense of isolation.
Yeah, good one. We got a comment here, and I'm going to go ahead and post it up on the screen. I want to thank you also for those who have been commenting. They have been coming in kind of slow, so maybe there's some tech issue, but we want to thank you nonetheless. We did just get this in about the Ring doorbell feeling like Big Brother. Have you noticed that with the residents, or have you noticed that with customers, that there might be some pushback for some reason?
It's for us. I mean, it's definitely a consideration, and the way Ellie works is all the permissions go through her, whereas ultimately the resident is the one in control in terms of if they want to share health information with their family member, or if they want to share health information through the dashboard with the community. I think it's a huge point. You have to be really, really careful, because folks don't want to feel like people are monitoring them or tracking them, especially their kids these days. So.
That's for sure. Sure. Well, any final words before we wrap up today's episode?
I just wanted to say to that last point, Abby, we did our pilot study in 2021. 96% of residents wanted to see Mindy again after the first time they met with her. I thought it would be like 50-50. But they were so overwhelmingly interested in engaging with the robot that I really realized that there's something here. And there's a myth that older adults maybe, will be afraid of them or won't accept them. But the fact that it is, again, clearly a robot, I don't want it to feel like it's a real grandchild, but I do want it to feel like you're kind of having a visit with a grandchild, right? Simple conversation and some fun activities.
Yeah.
That actually, I think, makes a huge difference. And, we'll see as the industry continues to evolve, but I really do. I mean, there's 20 years of research that proves that social isolation and loneliness and boredom can be alleviated with the socially assisted robots. So we just need to start getting them into the field and get more of them, I guess, but get more of them into the field and save lives,
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to post this last question, and then we will answer that and wrap up from here. So what provision plans are needed for if and when the robot does not perform correctly, runs into the wall, runs into the dining room table, something like that? What provision plans are needed?
Do you want to start with that one?
Sure, absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, we did a lot of testing with different manufacturer robots, and we chose the one that performed best within our environment. That means 99.9% success rate, getting to where it needs to be when it needs to be there. But the robots are monitored remotely by the manufacturer. They have an emergency stop button. They have a reset mode, and it can go back to its starting point and reorient itself to the space. The robot we use has digital breadcrumbs mounted on the ceiling, invisible really to you or me unless we were looking specifically for them. But in addition to its sensors that are mounted on the body, it does have an upward-looking camera that can reorient itself as well. And we think that was really why it was so successful in our particular environment.
Cool.
Along with all that, I would just add that what we need to have is like a geek squad for robots. And so, I think that when we have thousands of them out there, then there'll be enough justification for Best Buy or whoever, tech support companies to get the training and to do that. I mean, right now we do offer, a performance warranty. And then, if somebody, intentionally breaks, hits it with a baseball bat or something, then you have to replace it, right? But they're designed not to tip over and so forth. And I think that it's really just a matter of how much you want to pay for that warranty. And it's really just like a replacement tech support if a remote tech call can't get it started again. And in the most cases, like I did a call with a company or with a college in North Bay, Ontario, and I'm based in Saskatchewan, and we figured out what the issue was, and they, fixed it pretty easily. So video chats and video like YouTube videos are helpful as well.
Yes, they are. And COVID has helped us really bring a lot of things to the forefront to help older adults, and has definitely shown that the adoption, the interest is there for sure, right? For sure. So yeah, thank you. Thank you, Christine. Great comment there. And now what I want to do right now is I want to give you, my guests, the opportunity to let people know where they can reach you for more information. So Alfred, where can people reach you for more information?
Healthcenter.com is the website. I encourage you all to go there. You'll find a lot of interesting stuff that's very relevant for the needs of seniors. You can also reach me at alfredpoor@healthtechinsider.com. And
wonderful.
I'm happy to answer any questions and look forward to continuing the conversation.
Likewise. And Christopher, how about you? Where can people reach you?
So you can always email me, Christopher at intuitionrobotics.com. I'm happy to set up one-on-one demos to go over features in more depth. Or for folks who maybe aren't ready for that step, but just want to learn a little bit more, you can head to leq.com. We've got a lot of really great video testimonials from our users so you can see, and also product demos as well.
Perfect. Perfect. And Lee, how can people find out more about Mindy?
My website is socialrobots.ca, and my email is lee@socialrobots.ca.
Nice. And Thad, how about for Jeeves, for you and Jeeves?
Yeah, I would say for any operators out there that are looking to bring in a service robot of this style, or any of the others that I mentioned, feel free to reach out to me, tparton@mather.com. I'd be more than happy to share with you our experience, our testing process, and any little tips and hints I can share.
Wonderful. Well, I'm excited to see these all continue to work in action. And you guys, I want to thank you for being my guest today and talking about something that's going to continue to grow in senior living for sure. And with that, I want to say I'll see you all back here next week. Have a wonderful day. Bye.